Yo, what's up, everyone, and welcome to Doodle Talk. So, this is going to be a podcast that I do talking about art stuff and other things that I want to talk about, including music, illustration, animation. We'll probably stray off into other topics as well, but for now, I'd like this to be a podcast mainly about art and my experiences in it. And this is something I've just wanted to do for a while now, so I thought, why not give it a shot? I don't really know exactly where it's going, so we'll see where it takes me. But for now, yeah, just hope you guys can enjoy. I'll have some speed painting and time-lapse kind of stuff going on in the background while I'm talking, so it won't just be me sitting here talking about things, so hopefully that'll help. But yeah, let's jump into it. Welcome to Doodle Talk, Episode 1. All right, so for the first episode, I wanted to just kind of go over a little bit of who I am and what I do. So my name's Sam, and I go by Studio Fudelio on Instagram and YouTube and everything. So that's my, my social handle and stuff. And I am an American living in Japan, and I've been here for I think it's like about 6 years. So it's been a long time, and I originally came over here in the summer of 2016, I believe, and I was teaching English for about 4 or 5 years, and over the past 2 years, I finally switched over to doing something that I've always wanted to do since I started learning Japanese, and that's I became a freelance translator and editor. And I also do lettering and typesetting for comics and webtoons and stuff like that. So that's what I've been doing primarily for the past 2 years. For 1 year, I was working at a company, and then I switched over. And this past year, it's been a full year basically now that I've been doing it freelance. And yeah, I'm really enjoying it, but in the background, I've always been making art and music, and that's something I'm super passionate about. So, at the same time, while I'm happy doing freelance translation and stuff like that, I'm also really trying to continue and do my best to do all of the art and music stuff that I wanted to as well. And one of those things that I've wanted to do for a while is a podcast, so that's why I made this in the first place. And yeah, that's the gist of it. That's who I am. That's what I'm doing right now. And just gonna keep trying out different things and seeing what happens. But yeah. So one of the topics for this first episode that I wanted to do was just a light little topic, and it's what's your favorite color? I don't know. I feel like people don't talk about this very much when you're past the age of 5 or 6, 7, maybe even earlier than that. And color to me is like one of the most important things, and super, I don't know, it can just, color is especially for an artist. If you're an artist, if you're an illustrator, animator, painter, you know what I'm talking about. You know how important color is. And I'm not talking about like color theory or anything here. I'm talking about like just walking down the street and seeing a sign that's a really cool color and thinking about that color or that sign or whatever it is for like the rest of the day, for like hours on after that, or being inspired. For example, like what happens to me a lot is I tend to go through these periods of really digging a certain color. So like a couple years back during the spring here in Japan, you have the cherry blossom trees. And I got into pink real hard. I was loving pink for like 3 or 4 months. And basically everything I created, everything I did was basically had not pink themed, but it was just the main color that I was working on for a while. So it's definitely something I've always wanted to talk about. I'd love to talk to other people about it. It would be cool to get other artists on this podcast every once in a while. I do like the solo aspect, but yeah, that's something I just wanted to talk about, and I'd love to know other people's favorite colors and why. So if you have one, if you have a cool reason or any reason at all, just let me know. My favorite color is red. And that was my favorite color since I was like, as early as I can remember, probably 4 or 5 years old. And I don't really have any real rhyme or reason. It kind of is always that color that spoke to me the most. That kind of, I don't know, I felt cool if I was wearing red or had a red thing. It's a really powerful color. And I think that's a really cool aspect about it. Red gets a lot of bad rap for being kind of one of those, Darth Vader has a red lightsaber. Red means stop, green means go. It does have some negative connotations, but then it also has this kind of powerful connotation that goes with it as well, as like, one of the most passionate colors, one of the most bold and powerful colors. Jimi Hendrix, Bold as Love, going through all those colors in the beginning of that song is really awesome. I think that's a good way to kind of think about it too. Like the colors in that song have personalities, and it's definitely kind of like that for me when I think about colors as well. Because, if you have a character and they're wearing all yellow, that kind of says something about them. Even if you don't think it does, it really does. If they're wearing all red, they're going to be bold. They're going to be a bold, like, standing out character. And it's going to have a certain impact for that design, something like that. That'd be a really fun topic to kind of get more into on a later date. But for now, I just wanted to kind of just talk about colors, see what's up, see what other people's favorite colors are. And just moving on to a second topic for this video. Just going to keep it pretty short and sweet for this first one, I think. Feel it out. And might do some longer ones in the future. But for now, I don't want to ramble on for too long. But yeah, the second topic I wanted to talk about, this is something I've kind of been thinking about a lot recently, is what it means to be a professional. And what I mean by that is, if you're an artist, at what point do you consider yourself professional? So you could be doing something for 3 or 4 years. You could be getting paid for it. You could have a lot of clients. You could be making a lot of money. And you might not even consider yourself professional. I've been doing freelance translating and typesetting for a full year now, and been doing it for 2 years, not freelance, but freelance is only a year. And I'm just getting to the point where, I'm pretty proud of most of the work that I do, and I've gotten a lot of skills over the past couple of years of working in this field, and I would consider myself a professional at this point. No, I don't have as much experience as a lot of other people, veterans or other people in the industry who have been doing it for a long time, who have better Japanese skills than I do and better translating skills. But I've been learning Japanese for a long time, and I've been doing localization and translating stuff for a long time as well. And it's been my main job for the past 2 years now too. And I'm just now getting to the point where I would maybe consider myself professional. And on the art side of things, it's a little bit harder for me to consider myself professional because, well, I've had some client work, and I've done things that you would consider, paid commissions that could be considered professional. And I have some work that I'm proud of that I would consider of professional quality. I really would. I have a lot of other stuff, other projects, other things that I've done that I wouldn't consider professional. And just overall, with the amount of commissions and work that I get, and just kind of putting it all together and all into perspective like that, I don't know if I would call myself a professional artist right now. And I'm not really. One of the things I wanted to talk about is, like, should you feel shame in that? Is there a shame associated with, not feeling like you're good enough or you're not ready? Because, the worst thing that you could do is kind of, oversell yourself. And maybe this isn't the worst thing, but to me, one of the worst things I don't want to do is oversell myself as this, like, brilliant awesome, talented artist, and then kind of you let people down with their expectations of what that might be. And I think that's something to look out for sure. And it's also just it comes down to that kind of like self-deprecating aspect that a lot of artists have. And a lot of musicians, comedians, artists, I feel like we're all can be very self-deprecating at times. So you can fall into that trap of just not thinking you're good enough. And I actually kind of like this trap of falling into something like that but being self-aware about it, I think, is actually a really good way to improve on your own art and your craft, because if you're never satisfied with what you're doing, then you're going to always be pushing the boundaries of what you can do, and you're hopefully going to be working harder and pushing yourself in a way that doesn't take too much out of you or destroy you or like break you down too much. So just keeping a cool head about yourself, being self-aware about those things, I think can end up being a positive. But yeah, it's like, where do you draw the line about being a professional artist? Because some people will tell you, fake it till you make it. Tell people you're a pro artist. Tell people, you're getting these commissions and this is how much it's worth. And, you can sell your art for whatever amount you want. And at the end of the day, they should be paying you exactly what you're worth, no matter your experience and stuff like that. And I think it's a little bit more complicated than that. I think it doesn't just come down to, I'm an artist, so pay me a lot of money because that's what I'm really worth. As much as I do totally support artists getting paid what they deserve. And most of the time, like 99% of the time, it's always, they should be getting paid way more. Especially if they're just underselling themselves to get their name out there or get some cred or get some experience, which that's a whole nother topic as well. And something that is it's not so black and white as some people make it. And there are definitely things you have to come to terms with. I think this is where that self-awareness, again, will really, really help, because you can realize, you can think of what your worth is on an honest level and try and be honest with yourself, while at the same time not underselling yourself, which is really hard. It's a hard balance to find, and you're always looking back on your work and probably finding things that you would change that you don't like. For every one thing you do like, there's probably 10 or 15 that you hate and you wish you could change, or wish you had never made it in the first place. But another thing to talk about here in this situation is, like, at the end of the day, does it even matter? Does having the professional tag in front of your name matter at all? Because I can tell you, for like my email and stuff like that, certain things where I have for my translation career and in that field, for my email or things I sign off of, I don't write like professional translator, blah, 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 blah. I just write that I'm a freelance translator, typesetter, etc., etc. Because it feels kind of corny. This is kind of not the same thing as art, because art, you can have a portfolio, you can have an Instagram, you can have all of your work on Twitter. People can see your work for what it is before they even contact you or know anything about you. So there's a little bit different, but at the end of the day, asking that question, does it matter? Do I need the title of professional in order to make art or to sell art? And on that side of things, I think no, you definitely don't. You do not need to think of yourself as a professional if you want to sell things, or if you want to start trying to make a career out of it. Because if you waited until you were professional, you would never get started. That's kind of the thing too, is there's kind of a great, you're a beginner and then you're going to get pretty good. You get to the certain level where like your art doesn't suck anymore. You're able to like kind of evaluate it properly and see like, okay, this is what I need to work on. This is what I should improve. And then you're going to get to this point where I feel like it's a long stretch right there where you're kind of like, I'm not a beginner anymore. I'm like more of an amateur, and I'm going towards like being a very experienced professional. And there's a point in between that space right there where you you get to this level where you can start selling your stuff. You can start working in the same manner that a professional would. And if you're lucky enough, you can start making your career out of it. It doesn't matter your skill level. It doesn't matter how good you are at the craft or whatever you're doing. I think once you get out of that like beginner phase, you really can decide. And it just depends how hard you work. You can decide if you want to start making a career out of it or really go for it. So in that respect, no, I don't think you need to consider yourself professional, and I don't think there's any need to try and classify yourself as a professional. And you should just do what you want to do. But don't forget that having that self-awareness. And I really don't want any of this to sound like high and mighty coming from me talking about this kind of thing. Because, as I said, as far as art, illustration, music stuff goes, I don't necessarily consider myself a professional. But I do feel like I have enough experience and have been working on it long enough over the years to the point where, I wouldn't feel bad like honestly thinking of what I might charge someone for a commission. I know I'm starting to understand my own worth as an artist. So, maybe a little bit down the line from here, I could reevaluate and consider myself professional. But coming from someone who doesn't consider himself technically a professional in the art field, don't feel bad if you don't consider yourself one either. Because at the end of the day, in my opinion, it really doesn't matter. Now, if you're talking about something besides art stuff, so you want someone who's a professional plumber to come over to your house and fix your toilet, because if they just told you I'm an amateur plumber by themselves, like they're not an apprentice with their teacher there or anything, it's going to be sketchy. You don't want something like that. So, like I said, all this stuff isn't black and white, and there are gray areas. But yeah, at the end of the day, a lot of my favorite artists and people I follow and that inspire me aren't professional artists. They're just random people who make cool shit that I really like and that inspire me in their stuff. They're just posting or whatever they're doing, and honestly, that's like more important to me than that person being like a big named artist or anything. It's like, how can you impact other people, and how many other artists can you inspire or like motivate to do other things? So yeah, it doesn't all come down to the name or the title. So that's something to think about as well. And you shouldn't sweat it too much. By the time you're actually at the level where you would consider yourself a professional, you're probably already aware of it because of things like how many clients you have, how much work you've been able to produce, how much you can charge for things, how consistently you've been able to do things with clients and work. Your portfolio will start to show it in whatever way your portfolio is. Even if you don't have a real actual portfolio, just looking back on your work, you'll be able to tell. So I think that's kind of the main takeaway from me for this is like, all in due time. You'll start to understand where you're going and what your course is, probably without even really thinking about it. Kind of, you'll just start to realize it. And a lot of the times with art and stuff, it's like the art or the work speaks for itself. How many commissions you're getting speaks for itself. And a lot of that is just putting in a lot of hard work outside of actually just drawing or making music or producing and stuff like that. It's marketing yourself and appealing to other people and getting an audience and clients that you would want to have commission stuff from you. And but at the end of the day, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter if you consider yourself professional or not. And that's my opinion, with those few caveats in there. So yeah, that's the only other topic I wanted to talk about today. If you made it this far in the podcast, thanks for listening. Again, just going to keep it pretty short here for this first one, but I will be making other ones after this. And just stick around. I'll catch you guys in the next one, and see you in Doodle Talk episode 2. Peace.